Welcome to the latest edition of the CRE Pulse, a Dolan, New York podcast. Today's edition is Skyscrapers for Life by the New York Blood Center.
This podcast is sponsored by CHCO Inc., a family-owned second-generation exterior contractor specializing in exterior restoration, roofing, and concrete.
I would like to introduce our guest here.
Hi, I'm Yadira Navarro. I'm the Director of Community and Stakeholder Relations for New York Blood Center Enterprises. Excited to be here today.
Welcome.
Bill Dacunto, Silverstein Properties. I'm an EVP. I've been with the company. I'm in my 39th year.
Oh, so young in there.
Yes, well, I used to be. You got to see what I used to look like when I first started working.
My name is Pat Dolan. I'm the Senior Property Manager for One World Trade Center for the Durst organization. I am the past chair of Bowman, New York, and while I'm with Durst 9 years, I am in the industry 39 years.
I've been in the industry 21, so I have a few decades.
All right.
Excellent.
Have a little experience here. That's good to see.
Just a bit, yeah.
All right. So first, I would just like to start off by talking about Skyscrapers for Life. I know it was created by MetLife in 1997. I know, Pat, you had a big part in bringing it back to relevance. So I don't know if Yadira, you'd like to just talk about it in
Sure.
general, and then you guys like to hop in as well.
Sure. So New York Blood Center has been very fortunate to partner with several organizations from different market segments, really just to bring alive and awareness to the need for blood donations across our area. Skyscrapers for Life was initiated in 1997 when our partners at MetLife, which we had a very strong connection to, and specifically, I believe it was Ted Athanasiadis, president at the time, who brought together the idea of a competition. You know, if we can get skyscrapers to compete for blood donations, we can really get some momentum and help save lives. It sort of fit into the portfolio that he was working on at the time. And we had great success with the campaign. And as happens with many projects, you know, people change, the interest just isn't there, priorities change, and it sort of went to the wayside for some time. Probably in 2023, Pat Dolan reached out to one of my colleagues he was working with at the time to say, "Do you remember Skyscrapers for Life? I'd love to bring that back." And it started as such an innocent phone call. I remember, getting that phone call thinking, well, yeah, we used to do that, but sure, I guess we can explore it. And it's really flourished into something that's been such a successful campaign, so impactful to our community. And it just continues to grow, continues to get momentum. There's such a positive support system for it, not just from the leaders that have taken this on at BOMA, Pat, again, as chairman, bringing that on. But from property management leadership, everyone is really just excited to be a part of this. And I think that competitive spirit makes it excited. It's a friendly competition. And, as corny as it might sound, there's no one loses. At the end of the day, we get more blood for patients in need. So it's a really, really great effort.
No, I agree. It's absolutely wonderful. I know all the different BOMA events I go to, I hear people talking about it. And I'm glad, we have Bill and Pat here who have been amazing in leading their buildings and donations. So I see we have some awards here as well. Would we like to speak about those?
In the initiation of the campaign, we have a few metrics that we use to really figure out who we're going to highlight. So one is our critical champion, which, if you can imagine, we have difficult times for our blood supply. Truthfully, we often say we're a pipeline because as fast as blood donations come in, is as fast as they go out. We really, 60% of the American population is eligible to donate, yet only 2% do. So it's really a very tight stream for our area hospitals and patients. But in the campaign, of course, we wanted to recognize that. So our critical time frame are the winter months, December and January, and the summer, July and August. That's really the height of when schools are not really in session. The weather's a bit crazy. So we have one award that honors that. And this year, that was the Durst organization, One World Trade, that won that, which again, leading by example. They collected 217 donations during that time frame, which again is such a wonderful help. We also have the Property of the Year, so that we awarded to the Silverstein property, 7 World Trade Center. That property donated 275 donations to our supply through 3 blood drives. So that's the single property in this initiative that donated the most, which is fantastic. And then we also judge our properties by grouping, so a property management organization as a whole. And that again was Silverstein with almost 500 donations from 6 properties sponsoring 7 blood drives. So again, such a wonderful effort. It just continues to grow and expand. And, we didn't have them for our December luncheon, but we're very happy to present them in person today.
Excellent.
That's great.
Excellent.
Congrats.
Fantastic.
We'd love to thank Marks Realty for providing this phenomenal space for the podcast. Once again, Marks Realty, thank you so much.
So, Pat and Bill, if you guys would like to maybe speak, how were you guys able to get everybody on board in your buildings and in your organization to really get behind this initiative and participate, and I assume get other people to participate as well?
I had 2 issues. I had an internal issue where I really had to talk my company into doing this. They were concerned about the liability, and they had never really participated in this before. So we had to get them to come around of why it was a great idea. And I kept using the term building community, right? We're always talking about building community within our various assets. And how do we get people to feel like they're part of this building community? I've been involved with blood drives since I'm a young man. And more recently, I was running them in my parish up in Westchester County. So I'm very familiar with how blood drives work, and blood donors are very regular. You can count on them constantly. So once they know there's a blood drive in the place they work or where they live, they're a given. The challenge is always to get new donors in. So I was just very passionate about it. I remember when I worked for Boston Properties, we participated in Skyscrapers for Life, and I thought it was an excellent program. And it was always shocking to me that it just kind of went away. So when I did get an opportunity to be chair of Bowman, New York, it was really, what can our industry do to kind of get our name out there, make an impact in the community, make an impact in our city? And I said, we should try to bring back Skyscrapers for Life. So that was really, the genesis of that, getting it back in. And we're very, very fortunate. We have companies like Silverstein under Bill's leadership and others who, have total buy-in and are really passionate about, having drives in their buildings. And we continue to try and coerce, encourage, cajole some of our other member firms to try and take a step in and try to have a blood drive in their buildings. So I know not everybody has the space, but for many buildings, we do have the space. So we can continue to encourage them to please host a blood drive. It really makes such a difference. So that's kind of where we're at.
I first gave blood in college in 1982. Then there was a long gap, but we had blood drives here and there, but nothing really specific or in any regular timetable at Silverstein until after 9/11. And then we had a blood drive at 120 Broadway. We had a few here and there, but once we opened 7 World Trade Center, excuse me, in May of 2006, then I brought this program in where we would have blood drives on a regular basis. And long story short, it seems that 3 drives a year is the sweet spot for us. Any more than that, I think it's too much to ask of people.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to keep momentum going. So we found that 3 times a year really works. So we did it at 7, and then we started to do it at other buildings in the portfolio. 1177 Irving, the Americas, which we owned at one time, did a lot of blood drives. But we spread it out through our entire portfolio, which is how we were able to get so many drives. And what doesn't count here is our building in Philadelphia, which holds a regular blood drive, and our building in Los Angeles, which holds a regular blood drive that I insisted on them doing. And they were, the managers are kind of reluctant about it too.
Yeah.
But once they did it, they saw the participation. And you're going to hear, Pat brought up the word community. You're going to hear that a lot because that's part of what creates it too. The biggest thing for me is everybody in this room is very, very fortunate. We have this is not a nice to do. We have an obligation to give back, a full obligation, whatever we can do to give back. And if giving blood is the only thing you can do, then fine, do that. But do something. You have to give back. And this is just a great way to bring people from the building together. And look what it does. I mean, the results of it. Anybody that gives blood, when you leave there, you have to feel really good that you did something. You actually saved someone's life, potentially, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do it as long as you can. One thing I just wanted to bring up, and I'm not trying to brag, but it was a very, very proud moment for me. I'm part of the 10-gallon club.
Oh, congratulations.
Okay.
Nice.
Go ahead and brag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Good.
brag.
Good
Yeah.
brag.
You should brag.
Yeah, it took a long time, obviously, to do that, and a lot of blood drives. During the pandemic, it was really rough.
Yeah.
So what I did is my town has a blood center. So I was able to give platelets on a regular basis. But what happened with you all? Every 2 weeks, I was getting harassed about giving platelets. And finally, I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, okay, give blood when you can.
Yeah.
But that was one way that I could continue to give back was through platelets during the pandemic.
I tried the platelets and I was cramping up. I could not stop the cramps.
for
They were
everyone.
giving me all sorts of calcium tablets to try and alleviate it. So I donate whole blood. I'll do the Alex machine.
Yes.
They want my blood type, but the platelets just didn't work out for me. But I have a very interesting story. Our last blood drive, we did this winter, and I was on the gurney giving blood, and there was a woman next to me, and she was not feeling well. She really, really was not feeling well. They were giving her lots of attention, putting her legs up, trying to get her going. And at the end, when she was done, she sat at the canteen a little longer, color was coming back. So I started to talk to her. And she ended up being an employee of Condé Nast, our largest tenant in the building. And she goes, oh, yeah, this happens to me all the time. So here's a woman who knows she's probably not going to feel good, but she knows it's important to do. She was inspired to do it when her grandfather got sick and has been donating blood ever since, knowing that she's not going to feel good when she does it, but it is an obligation in her mind to do it, to give back, which I thought was terrific. It really was. So every time we hear terrible stories, you always hear every once in a while a great story, and you hear people like that are just doing the right thing. So it's good.
So we are so fortunate to count just on such reliable partners. I will say you use the keyword harass, which is true. I have apologized quite often for the harassment that we can do at times. But, to the earlier comment, we're a pipeline. We don't have enough people to sustain the blood supply that's needed for our area. And if you think about the tri-state area, we are an oasis, a medical oasis. So many people from across the country come to our hospitals here for life-saving treatments. So it's a little bit of a larger burden on us to make sure that we're meeting those needs, but it's really through leadership like this that we have success, because when we have that support, it trickles down. People get to see it's something that's valued, it's something that's important to do, so that we hopefully can harass a little bit less, get some new people in the door. I did want to take a moment. I did not mention Lori Raphael, the executive director of BOMA, who really is so pivotal in the success of this campaign. And, working in this industry and for this organization for so long, New York Blood Center Enterprises, just having folks that are excited and passionate about the work we do is very humbling.
Yeah.
It is a very simple thing to do, but many people are not aware. They don't realize it's something that they can do, or it's not convenient. And you made that point earlier, Pat. We find that if a blood drive or a donor center isn't within a 10-minute radius of a person, they're likely not going to participate. If you think about Manhattan, when I worked in the city, we all have our path. We don't really stray from that path. You commute to the office, you generally walk down the same streets. So if you're not tripping over us, it's a hard thing to find. So again, when we
we're creatures of
partners
habit.
that want to do that, it just makes it so much better.
One thing I failed to mention, Silverstein Properties. The Silverstein family has never once said no to me. The door is always open to do any of these events at any time, which is, it's part of the reason.
It's great to
In
have
my
support.
39th year, that they understand that we have a need to give back and to be part of the community.
It's wonderful to have that kind of support, especially for important drives like this.
Yeah.
And I also feel that, both of you guys working at the World Trade Center and being leaders in this is a little symbolic as well because of the history that's over there and the life-saving measures that are taking place by you guys leading the way here. So, Yadira, I know you were talking about, you can't go anywhere tripping over. So, can you tell us a little bit about like the communities that you serve?
Mm-hmm. So, New York Blood Center Enterprises is actually across the country. We're in about 16 states now. New York Blood Center, which is one of 8 divisions that we operate through, covers the tri-state area. So we have donor centers. We thankfully just opened our last New York City donor center in the Bronx. So we're excited to have representation in each borough. But we have donor centers that go all the way up north to Kingston, South Jersey.
Massapequa.
Yeah, we're all across Long
Long
Island.
Island,
So
yeah.
yeah, they're pretty easy to find. And especially you mentioned the pandemic earlier, Bill. The donor centers were really our saving grace. We didn't have as many partners sponsoring blood drives. We couldn't, for safety measures, at times partner. And people felt comfortable coming to a brick and mortar location where they knew exactly what to expect. And they felt that it was a safe space. And it's one of the reasons why we opened. I'm forgive me for not remembering the number, but we opened a handful of donor centers last year, which was not the norm in years prior, but it was because we realized we really needed to have these locations in convenient areas across our footprint. But our geography expands to Delaware, Rhode Island, Minnesota, Nebraska. So we really have centers across the country that, are a part of this pipeline. We say local service, national strength. So we have the ability really to make our local service areas priority. But at times of need, you can imagine during Superstorm Sandy, it was other parts of the country that were sending us blood to make sure that we had what we needed. You mentioned 9/11, unfortunately, we didn't need a lot of blood products for that tragedy, but it's really our industry helping one another. So again, with the service area we have now, we really have the ability to make sure blood is exactly where it's needed, when it's needed.
It's very interesting you talk about blood donors. I find that they are a committed bunch.
Mhm.
They are, you can count on them.
Yeah.
So it's funny, 9/11, so the few days right after the event, there was a big blood bank in one of our buildings in the old Citicorp Center, which is now 601 Lexington Avenue. And I remember there was a line around the block multiple times of people donating blood. Now, whether or not the blood was needed didn't matter. People wanted to do something. And blood donors, you can just count on them. They know that this is something that's needed and they're willing to donate blood. Doesn't matter what thought. They're just great.
You bring up a good point too, that how loyal these people are. So people that give double red, they're always going to give double red.
Absolutely.
And the way we have it spaced out, they can give the double red all 3 times.
Yeah.
So, but it's the same folks.
Strategic planning, yeah.
At Seven World Trade, I don't necessarily see the lists of everybody in the other buildings, but Seven World Trade's the same folks over.
You can count on it.
Yeah.
The challenge is for us to get new people to come in
Yeah.
and try and donate blood. And then that's, incumbent upon all of us to do what we can to encourage people and kind of educate them about why it's important. And that metric always sticks in my mind, that 2% of the population that are the donors. It's just not enough. We need more. We need more people to do this.
And if it went up by 1%, it really would make such a difference. You think of the population, 1% is a significant number. We've been in operation since 1964, so it's more than 60 years of service to our community. This division alone handles about 500,000 blood products to our area hospitals, almost 200 hospitals we partner with. And across the country, our organization is responsible for distributing 1 million blood products a year. So it's a substantial number. And again, it goes back, forgive me for bringing back the harassment, but it's a part of it. We are forced really to be innovative and creative and find ways to reach each generation. I think across the generations, there have been different motivations for blood donation. The boomers definitely understood the importance of it. I think now with our younger populations, it's really finding what messaging resonates with them. The care is the same, but you have to know how to talk to your audience and, making sure that our younger population are engaged because ultimately they're the future of the supply. So we need them to know that this is the great equalizer. This is another reason why I've been with the organization so long. Anyone can give blood. there really is no financial status. There's no metric that would divide us. We want every ethnicity. We want every genetic makeup. There's a science behind that too that we can talk about later if you'd like. But everyone can do this. It's something free. This is why the real estate industry donating their spaces is so valuable. That support and those spaces really allow people to be a part of this. So I would think normally people may not associate the real estate industry with being as charitable or philanthropic as they are, but it's something that I love. I will sing this from the rooftops. This is something that is incredibly, incredibly beneficial. And this campaign just continues to grow and grow. In its first year, we did a 6-month trial. It was May to November, just so that we had enough time to present in December. And we had almost 1,600 donations at that time, which was a 107% increase from those same property groups the year prior. Last year, we ended at almost 2,500 donations. So again, it's moving in the right direction. That was another 51% increase. This year, we've already surpassed that number, but I don't want to give away because it can change. And frankly, I have no doubt that it's going to be another increase because as time goes by, our internal teams are working with the partners at each property. But the properties reach out to us. And we were talking about a landing page we have with information on the campaign that you can enter your information for more information. But I find that we get phone calls, we get emails.
It's good. It's
People
great.
will call Lori or Pat or someone they know that's already involved to say, hey, I want to get involved too. What do I need to do? So we couldn't ask for something better. That's exactly how you want a campaign to run.
We also need to acknowledge our tenants because they're allowing their employees. Not everybody comes at lunchtime, so the employer has to allow the tenant the time to go and give blood. So they're part of the equation too, and they've been nothing but cooperative in all of our buildings.
Absolutely. Well, our industry is a very generous one, and our industry is involved in many great causes. Creating an opportunity in the workplace for someone to take an hour out of their day and donate blood. Clearly, our tenants buy into this and allow their employees to do so. And it just creates, I would just say, an hour of convenience where they don't have to go somewhere else in their town or their church or their kid's school or wherever else you're holding blood drives. It's just, we make it very, very convenient for people to do. So we're just going to continue to push the program, encourage other owners who haven't jumped in yet to get going because, I just see great things. Our tenants love the fact that we have a blood drive, and I'm already noticing, the same donors coming back along with a few new faces. So that's a positive sign.
And, I'm so sorry. I was just going to say, Bill and Pat mentioned the tenants. Just to clarify, in this competition, these are building-wide blood drives. So it's an additional drive where they're inviting all of their tenants to participate. We have several tenants that sponsor their own blood drives that are exclusively for their employees. So we try to schedule it in a way where everyone is still eligible for their specific effort. But again, that speaks to the participation where they're doing their own events, but then at times want to be a part of the building community, which is really great.
Yeah.
So I guess a good follow-up question here would be for both Bill and Pat here. As two leaders in this industry here with this blood drive, what advice could you give or maybe encouragement to other property managers or property management companies to encourage them to do drives like this, to get involved, and also how to get their tenants involved? Because you guys have had a lot of success. Obviously, the amount of, we said the stats before, the amount of donations per building, building of the year. What can you say to them to get their tenants to A, do the drive itself, to make the time and the space, and then B, to get the tenants involved and, have them willfully participate?
Well, the first thing I would tell people is your first blood drive, don't expect much. It takes a little time. So even if you got 15 pints, your first shot, okay, you started something. And then there's a buzz in the building. But I would encourage anybody that wants to start participating to just contact us. We'd be more than happy to tell them how everything works, how we go through it, how we contact the tenants. Happy to share that. I know I don't want to speak with Pat, but I'm sure he feels the same exact way. They should reach out to us.
Yeah.
The more the merrier. I stood up on dais during the holiday lunch, and I said, I hope someone else is standing up here. That means they outdid us. And that means that no one loses, everyone wins.
I agree earlier with Bill's comment about how we have an obligation. So Tiara might laugh at me, but I'm very famous for a term I use: learn, earn, return. Right, in the various phases of your career, and I'll just go to the third part of it, which is return. Right, we're giving back. We're returning back to our community, returning back to our asset. We just talk about it, the metrics, who's been successful, why they're successful. We communicate with our tenants. We market the event. Um, we just make it a big deal. We make it a big deal that there's a blood drive in our building, and this is an opportunity for you to become part of the One World Trade Center community or another building community. And we're all in this together. This could be friends, neighbors, family members that are going to need this blood at some point. So it's imperative on all of us to really participate in this. And our industry, again, is a very generous one. And this is something that I think is low to no cost, high impact. And that's when you talk to a lot of owners, they want to know, hey, what's this going to cost me? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going to cost you anything. It's just going to cost us the day where we're going to utilize space that's underutilized or not leased out at the time, and have a blood drive, and it's going to be nothing but positive. Our tenants are going to enjoy it, and we're going to be doing good for our community. I think if we just hit on those things and we keep that message going, we'll get some.
As the Critical Champion Award recipient, um, how do you feel that your work at World Trade Center has helped contribute to winning this award?
Well, at One World Trade Center, it's I've had a tremendous career and I've worked in some wonderful buildings, but this has been a special place. As Bill mentioned earlier, I view it as sacred ground. It is something that we always keep in our mind, in our team, what I will refer to as our building leadership team. Everybody buys into. We're a new building, and we want to have new tenants in One World Trade Center, and we want them to be successful. And we also balance that with what had occurred here at one time, and that's always in our mind. And again, I just think showing our industry, our peers. These are folks that we compete with most of the time throughout the year. But in a lot of ways, we work together. We help each other with best practices, or if somebody has an issue, a problem, we're constantly sharing information, advice, and so on. So we just want to make sure that we're giving everybody the best information possible about why this is important. And it is important. And if you are, listen, I started donating blood when I was in the military, and my gunnery sergeant would tell us, like, it's not like we really had a choice. We should donate blood. He was famous for saying pay call, which is payday. Pay call will commence after you've donated blood.
Oh, there you go.
So I've been accustomed to donating blood my entire adult life. And it's just something that I speak about, I'm passionate about. And, sometimes when you talk to people who are passionate about something, sometimes it rubs off a little bit and it'll get, hey, why don't we try that? And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm just hoping to inspire someone to think about taking this on. Again, it's low to no cost, high impact. Mm-hmm. And again, I keep hitting this building community thing. We're all trying to do this in our buildings, create this environment where we as a landlord and our tenants have this thing in our buildings where it's a great place to be, great place to spend our time. And together we can do great things like donate blood. So that's the message I try to throw out there all the time.
No, that's great. And then Bill, so 2 awards here. So as both Company of the Year and, 7 World Trade Center being Property of the Year, how do you feel your years of experience in the industry as well? I know you mentioned before it's over 40, 30, 40 years of experience. How has that helped? How has that helped, help you achieve these 2 momentous awards and help you also strive to continue to do better, after winning these?
Well, I echo many of the things that Pat said. one way that we can show reverence to the site, the 16-acre site, I want to be careful about how I say this. This is very important to me. We have to show reverence to those who lost their life just by going to work on 9/11. And the blood drive is one way I think that we do that. We honor their memory. So we lost 4 people from our company. I was there before 9/11, during 9/11, and after. And this is one of the things we can do. Show people that we haven't forgotten about them. Yeah, there's a memorial there, but we have an obligation to show people that we haven't forgotten. Everyone, I'll just do a quick story. Everyone that I interview that's going to work at the World Trade Center site, and that goes down to porters, security guards, engineers, whoever it is, corporate people, they have to tell me where they were on 9/11. And if they have any connection, or if they understand the site that they're going to work on. Because if they don't understand the site, then how can they work there? And I think, again, going back to the blood drive, it's just one way that we show people we haven't forgotten and that we're ready to give back. I swore I wasn't going to do this, but I'm doing it. I don't know how you talk me into this. I don't know if you've all seen the movie Saving Private Ryan.
Yep.
Good movie.
So towards the end of the movie, most of Captain Miller, his crew is dead, right? And he's next to Private Ryan, and he whispers something to him as he's dying. And he said, "What's that? I didn't hear you." He said, "Earn this." And having been there before and during, and just by fate surviving 3 times on 9/11, that resonates with me all the time. I'm still here, others aren't. Earn it. There's a reason I'm here. Earn it.
I think that's wonderful.
I don't know how you.
That's a great message.
I was not going to bring that up.
I don't know.
I swore on my way here.
I think we got to end
glad-
it there. I don't know
I'm
what
glad
we
you
can do
did.
to top that.
So I guess we are going to end this here. So I guess one last question, Yadira. How can the Bowman, New York community, as a whole, how can we continue to lead by example for the New York Blood?
Great. So yeah, continuing to partner with us is really a great way to do it. You mentioned 9/11, this year being the 25th anniversary. Blood donors play such a significant part of our history with 9/11. Pat, you mentioned the long lines around the block, the patience, the dedication. We really want to honor that. So we're finding ways to honor that this year because there's such incredible stories that came out of that day of people who wanted to help and made such a wonderful difference. But in this campaign, we do have a webpage, nybc.org/skyscrapers. You can get all the information on the campaign there. You can put in your information just to get a call back if you need to. Sponsoring a blood drive is really the best way to do it. We will work with you. That's something that New York Blood Center really prides itself in. We don't just give you a date and walk away. Many of these properties sponsored drives prior that didn't do as well. Frankly, they just didn't have the support. We had the space, but there wasn't the engagement. And now with the incredible leadership we have, when we open that same space up, there's more attention, there's more commitment to the cause. So we are very happy to provide all of the materials. All of the equipment comes from us. So tables, chairs, if you have, of course, we'll use it, but we can provide those, the gurneys. We try to make this as simple as possible. We also work on the strategy attached to it. So we can plan with a group to say, okay, well, here's what we think works. And then, Bill, to your point earlier, where he found that 3 blood drives a year is a sweet spot. Every property is going to be a little bit different. And it's going to be the insights of those leaders within each building that are going to say, this is what works. Quick story. We had an SL Green property where we didn't want to partner with them because they frankly had done so poorly prior. And this was before this campaign reinitiated. I should see what they're up to now. But they would do 10, 6, just really not great numbers. And the property manager, Carol Nuzzo, I don't know if you know her, but she said, give me a chance. I just need one chance. They did over 100. She really understood the nature of, what connected her, building community. She really did a fantastic job getting people out and, just finding creative ways to get the messaging to the right people at the right time. So we are your full support system. We're happy to provide anything needed. And we are so incredibly happy and honored to celebrate success as this comes along because we're saving lives. There really is nothing else we can do with donated blood products. They're processed. they go to hospitals, and they go to a patient in need. And as you get to meet some of these recipients, it's really incredible, whether it's a trauma victim, a woman giving birth. We have patients with sickle cell disease or thalassemia that literally rely on blood products to live. Every 2 weeks, they're going in for a transfusion. And where it takes 10 minutes to donate the blood, it takes them 2 hours to receive the transfusion. So if you
Yep.
can imagine the time commitment and the difference there, but they're incredibly grateful to have people just take that little bit of time to come and partner with us. And we're just so proud to recognize everyone's efforts in this.
We are saving lives. I mean, our community, our industry, our tenants, our employees, we are definitely saving lives. So we got to keep at it. I will say in Beaumont, New York, every board meeting, it is an agenda item, Skyscrapers for Life. It has become a significant effort for us. So I have the good fortune of our new chairman, Sharon Hart, who is completely supportive of Skyscrapers for Life. And I would fully expect that whoever succeeds her at some point, that will be my good friend Bridget Cunningham. She's supportive of it. Vornado does them in their buildings as well. So I think we have a level of leadership within Beaumont, New York that will keep this going, which makes me very happy.
That's amazing.
Said it, low cost, high impact.
Low cost, high impact.
That's the way to go.
So I'd like to thank you all. As someone who, honestly, when I was an infant, I had major surgery, and I know how important this is because I needed a transfusion as well. I still have the scar on my arm over here from that day. So, I would like to thank, on behalf of everybody, thank you for all the work you've done, and thank you for being here to talk about this.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.